Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Barely Bookish podcast. Today, we are continuing on with Peter Pan with Rebecca.
Hey.
I'm excited. This book got juicier. Well,
Yes.
I don't even know if juicier is the right word. I think it kind of just got scarier a little bit.
Yes. Darker,
Darker.
creepier.
Yeah.
More characters. Lots more characters introduced.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Lots of things we're going to have to talk about today, to be honest. So then we are on to chapter 5, The Island Come True. So it says that the island woke up at Peter's arrival, and everyone apparently relaxes when Peter's gone. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Peter's the dictator of this island.
Pretty much.
So, like, it's going through, like, basically that everyone, like, fake works while he's gone, and, like, the pirates and the Lost Boys don't even really fight at all while they're gone. It's mainly that Peter's the antagonist here.
Yeah. Yeah, it says he hates lethargy. So he always has to be moving, doing things.
Yeah, that's terrifying to me. That sounds like capitalism. Peter's a capitalist. You heard it here first. So apparently, Peter kills any boy who starts to grow up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a lot of Peter murder in this one.
And did we get... Okay, we'll get to the tree part later. The part where they fit in their trees.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit.
We'll get to that. But man, yes. Peter, I tell ya.
He's a villain.
He really is.
So apparently they're also not even remotely allowed to look like Peter, which was weird to me because I didn't understand exactly what this means. Like, does it mean that they can't dress similar, or like they can't be like redheaded boys, or like where does he quite draw the line?
Yeah, I don't think it's very clear. He has this weird rule, and it's very narcissistic to me.
Oh yeah.
And it really does fit with the character that the author's building here. But it's like another layer to that. So yeah, he's the evil boss of the island, basically, and nobody's allowed to look like him. In the least like him, it says. So I don't know. So they go around wearing the skins of bears they killed themselves, which is just disturbing.
To me, it's horrifying imagining like these 10-year-olds like committing murder.
Yeah. And then like crawling into the skin of the animal they killed. And then, I mean, it's like a horror movie, right?
It is.
Kind of midsummer creepazoid thing. I don't know.
You could so easily turn this into a horror movie. Like, and I'm surprised no one's done it yet.
Right, like a really horror version of Peter Pan.
Or if they have, how have I not heard about it yet?
Right. I don't think anyone has. I think it's mostly just been like, oh, this fun kid tale, with some edge to it. Some of the movie versions, the ones with like actors, they have a little bit more of an edge. But and the Once Upon a Time show did make him a villain. Have you ever watched their version of Peter?
I stopped watching when Frozen was introduced.
But yeah, they made Hook, a good guy in the TV show, and Pan was like this, immortal villain type.
I remember Hook, but I don't remember Peter Pan at all. I think honestly I'm gonna have to rewatch it. I just thought like the plot line started like get really diluted.
It really did. I don't think I even watched as far as Frozen. But I do remember the season that had Peter and Hook.
Yeah, well, I don't remember Peter.
Hook lasted for multiple seasons, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to rewatch it, honestly. I'm getting to a point in my life where at this time I like once in a while I just need really trashy TV shows. So like
why not?
Right now I'm going through The Legacies, which is a spin-off of the originals, which is a spin-off of Vampire Diaries.
I am watching the Vampire Diaries right now, like binge watching it for like while I make covers and whatever.
Yeah. I binge watched it in college and I was really into it, but like as a trashy TV show. But like Vampire Diaries is better. The originals is okay. Legacies is terrible. It is so bad. But I'm only like 6 episodes in because like the other night I I could not, like, I got really burned out of all my jobs, and I was like, okay, I need to relax for a little bit, and I can't read. I
Yes.
was like,
Just
reading,
watch something else.
yeah, reading is like part of my job. So I was like, I just need fully to not do anything right now. So I put it on and I was like, why am I into this? Like, they made legacies. Basically, I heard the CW is like really struggling right now. So it seems like the legacies is supposed to be the supernatural replacement.
Right.
So
And
it's like,
isn't it like the school and then the daughter of
mhm,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I think I watched a few episodes of it. I don't remember how far I got.
yeah.
I
I
did like a couple of the cool monsters.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anything that has a decently done monster, I'm totally into.
Oh yeah. The Dryad's done pretty well. And then like the gargoyle was horrifying. Um yeah, I'm really into it so far. Just
Hmm.
I'm putting
Sometimes you
in.
just need that, you just need like a mindless entertainment
Oh yeah,
just to kind of refresh the brain.
for sure. So then we are on to the Lost Boys. So we have Toodles, who always seems to miss everything. We have Nibs, Slightly, Curly, and the twins.
Yep.
So it's obvious at this point that Peter's naming them.
Yeah, I would say probably so.
But like it's like why do you think he reuses the names?
When he kills off somebody, it's
Yeah.
possible.
Or like they outgrow or whatever. Like I feel like these cannot be first generation names.
Yeah.
But also the fact that he named them the twins because he can't tell them apart, so no one else is allowed to tell them apart, terrifies me.
Yeah, it's like, again, it's like this weird narcissistic thing with him. Like he's so self-absorbed. It says the twins, they did their best to give satisfaction by keeping close together in an apologetic sort of way. I feel so bad for them. That's
Me too.
awful.
This also means that like they both fell out of the cradle together.
Right.
How do you lose both of your twins?
I know, right? And I just, I have this feeling that Peter would just take kids sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how I carried both of these twins though.
Well, that's true. That's very true.
I don't know. I don't trust Peter at all.
Hmm.
So then they tell us about Hook's crew, and it seems like there was a lot of stuff that would have made sense in the time period, but like means nothing to me now.
Yes, same.
Because there's like a lot of examples about like them being like Italian and Spanish or something, and I
Hmm.
don't know what was happening in the 20s. Because that, oh, I guess that was after World War II, wasn't it?
No, World War II, that was like the 40s. Yeah, 45.
Hmm. Maybe it was just like build up. I don't know.
I don't know. But yeah, there's all these, like, there's names thrown in here that I don't, the prison at Gao or something, and the
Mhm.
banks of the, I can't even pronounce what river that is.
Yeah,
So I'm not sure of all those places.
it made it literally meant nothing to me, to be honest. I was like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
They
Anyway,
also then mentioned that Hook's blood is an unusual color, and I wasn't sure what to do with that.
it's almost like he's supernatural in some way, but
Hmm.
like it never goes anywhere with that.
I know. I was like, is he a vampire? Like, what do I do with that?
I did really like the description of his hair, which is what they did with it in the Disney movie. How his hair, well, and they do this in other movies too, but
Hmm.
his hair was dressed in long curls, which at a little distance looked like black candles. That's a pretty good description because you can totally picture the
Hmm.
long pillar type curls.
Yeah.
But he's apparently kind of, he's all about being elegant and fancy and
Hmm.
fashionable and all this kind of stuff because it talks about when somebody ruffles his lace collar,
Hmm.
then he just kills them on the spot.
Yeah.
So in that way, it's so interesting to see the similarities between him and Pan,
Hmm.
honestly,
I always felt like
because
there were two sides of the same
they
coin.
really are. And they're both, leaders, kind of narcissistic and like self absorbed.
Hmm.
Don't mind just randomly killing in cold blood. their people are terrified of them.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, really, it's not that Peter's a good guy, honestly. It's just that they're two rivals who just want control of the same little piece of property.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's also interesting when you think about the fact that he doesn't do anything while Peter's not around either.
Right. Except smoke two cigars at once, apparently.
Yeah. That sounds good for your lungs for
Oh, yeah,
sure.
right.
So next we get mentions of the native people of Neverland, and they call them Redskins, which first right off, I feel like everyone that listens to this podcast knows that I'm against racism, but like this is definitely a slur. And I guess in the time period that's what they called native people, but it's terrible and I hate it.
Yeah, it's very uncomfortable to read that term used over and over.
Mhm.
And also obviously some of the stereotypical way that they're portrayed, you know.
Oh yeah.
Some of it, yeah, is the time period and also a kid's view of
Mhm.
stories they might have heard. Like this is
Yeah.
how they behave on the island, you know. These are what, children in the 20s, I guess.
Mhm. And they're not
There's a
even,
lot.
well, I was also gonna say they're not even American children either, because like they're
Right.
British, so like they're
Yes.
hearing stories. They're like at this point, it's like fourth hand, fifth hand accounts.
Yes, it's a fanciful version of, you know, things like you said that they've heard
Yeah,
fourth and fifth hand. But yeah, it is an uncomfortable part.
yeah. So we will be probably not saying this throughout,
Right.
but I'm probably just gonna refer to Tiger Lily at all situation here
Mhm.
because yeah, not too comfy with that at all. Then we also get mention of the giant croc. Keep in mind, they're all like walking behind each other, keeping pace because everyone's looking ahead of them instead of behind them. So they're just like walking this island, like hunting each other. Um, so for the giant crocodile, like basically we hear more about it later, but oh no, here we actually hear more about it. Apparently, Peter threw Hook's hand to the crocodile, and ever since then, it's gotten a taste of Hook and now wants to eat the rest of him,
Yep.
which is totally how that works.
He must taste pretty good, whatever that weird blood is. I don't know.
I don't know. I guess it's got like fun flavors or something.
This crocodile's weirdly obsessed. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know about the crocodile.
Another thing I thought
Strange.
was interesting though is that they were apparently getting bedtime stories of Cinderella. And I'm
Yeah.
like, it's weird to me because I'm like, basically, this feels like the same universe to me. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Like, it's a Disney universe.
Right.
I was like, oh, that's weird.
I guess it's hard. Yeah, because they both become such staple like Disney stories. It's hard
Hmm.
to remember that Cinderella is like super old as far
Hmm.
as fairy tales go, and Peter Pan is a lot more recent. But yeah, the whole Disney aspect of things makes them feel like contemporary stories
Hmm.
sometimes.
Yeah, I was like, they're both at the theme park. So Hook ends up finding the Lost Boys underground chimney because they just put like a mushroom in it and we're still like using it.
That's so weird.
I
And so,
know.
what is their house filling up with their underground house? Is it filling up with smoke now? Like
I don't
that's
know.
what happens when you stop up a chimney.
Yeah, right? I don't know. I was like, okay, I guess I'll just take this knowledge and say thanks.
Can we talk about Smee for a minute?
Oh yeah.
Because Smee, he's honestly probably my favorite character of Hook's bunch.
Mhm.
Of course, he's terrible. You know how he calls his sword Johnny Corkscrew. Like it says, he gives little pet names to things to make them less horrible, and he
Yeah.
stabs people like in an apologetic way. And it's like, we could mention many lovable traits in Smee. After killing, it was his spectacles he would wipe off instead of his weapon. And
Yeah.
he's like this funny. And, the Disney movie makes him kind of a comical character.
Hmm.
But in here, he's a lot more lethal,
Hmm.
but he's also like charming in a weird way.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I know. To me, it seems like he's supposed to be like an intellectual of the group, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Where he's like, I don't know. It was really weird because it's just these two things about his personality don't seem to align at all.
Mm-hmm. But
I
he's like the nice serial killer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he'll kill you, but he's gonna maybe feel a tiny bit bad about it or like apologize while he's doing
Mhm.
it, and then like it's just an interesting contrast with him.
Yeah, you're like, oh, thanks, I guess.
And then he and Hook have this long conversation.
Yeah, I guess they want to make a death cake, and they're like, well, of course they'll eat it, but they don't like really say what's in the cake, just that
I
it's
don't
green.
I didn't understand that. Are they going to put poison in it, or is it just like a kid thing where like your mom tells you not to eat too many sweets, and so this is like a bit thrown in there for the children reading it? I don't. It sounds like they were going to poison. Maybe they were going to
Yeah,
poison it, but it doesn't actually say that.
I figured they were gonna poison it.
Yeah, because otherwise it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, a lot of this book doesn't make any sense, to be honest.
Which frustrates me sometimes, but
It's easier than reading Alice in Wonderland. I'll say that.
well, yes, yes. There's a
I
bit more sense.
When I was taking notes for that, I literally was like, I couldn't tell you which book this was in because neither of the books make sense.
Yeah.
Like, as we read Alice in Wonderland and then Through the Looking Glass, and I was like, it's in one of them.
Oh yeah.
Um, so then the pirates leave, and we get flashed to Tink pinching Wendy in the air, and
Yeah.
then when she gets close to the boys, she says that Peter wants them to shoot down Wendy, and then Toodles actually shoots Wendy right into the chest.
They obviously have no problem. Like it sounds like Peter's asked him to kill. I mean, he's asked him to kill things before, obviously,
Yeah.
people. So they kind of just do it without question.
Yeah, and I guess they'd have no reason to mistrust Tink either.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's just how you leave the chapter off. But then we're on to the next chapter, chapter 6. So after they kill Wendy, they were like, oh no, that's a girl, not a bird. Which, don't know how they thought it was a bird, to be honest.
Right. It'll look nothing like a bird.
Apparently, Wendy lives after Peter Pan pulls out the arrow from her heart and she keeps him from killing Toodles. And then it says that the button he gave her, which I thought he gave her an acorn.
Yeah, I thought that too, and I went back and looked. It said an acorn button,
Oh.
but I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
I always just thought it was an acorn.
Me too. I was like, what? What button are we talking about? Where'd this go from?
Is it like a button carved from an acorn, like, or is it a button in the shape of an acorn? I
I
have no
don't
idea
know.
what this is talking about, but
Yeah, me either. But apparently it saves her life because it hit that instead, which is like, have you ever seen that image of like the Nokia phone that stopped a bullet?
yeah,
That's what I'm thinking about right now. How thick was this button?
right? Magical button? I
Yeah,
don't know.
apparently it was pretty thick. It's a real lifesaver in this moment. Uh, and then Peter says that he isn't going to be Tinkerbell's friend ever again, ever. And then Wendy's like, that's kind of harsh. She goes, okay, never again for a week.
He's so fickle.
No, it's like, cool.
He's like, never, and then all right, fine, a week.
Yeah, right. I'm like, and we all knew he wasn't going to live up to it anyways.
Right.
It's like when you get mad at your siblings when you're a kid and you're like, I will never speak to you again. And then like 2 hours later, you're like, okay, what's up? Like,
You're right. I mean, it really is. This is more childlike behavior coming from him. So
yeah. This is like, I feel like the first instant of childlike behavior we get.
Uh-huh.
Like most of it's like I don't even know how to describe it because it's like if you lived your life without an understanding of consequences, but
Right.
not necessarily childlike behavior.
Right. So it's like and we don't know how long he's really lived in this
Yeah.
story. So it's like he's had no parental guidance, no moral authority, no,
Mhm.
right and wrong or consequences to anything he does.
Mhm.
So it's like it's childlike, but he's existed for a while like this. So yeah.
I think it's too there's something to say like for him even when these people leave, people always come back. Like even if they're not the same people.
Right.
And like I also wonder if that's the reason his memory doesn't work is because he's lived so long.
It's possible. And he just doesn't care to remember certain people because they pass in and out of his life anyway. Like, the Lost Boys are always coming and then growing up and being thinned out, as it
Yeah.
says,
I was like,
killed.
okay.
I know. It doesn't like say he kills them, but it says he thins them out, which is basically that. Like
Yeah.
he's getting rid of them.
I know. I'm like, so does he walk them to the other side because he's literally murdered them all or what?
That is a good point.
He's
He
like,
takes them to the. It's not that they're already dying and he goes with them part of the way. It's like he gets them there. Here
yeah.
we go, off to death.
Literally though. I'm like, okay, I don't trust this at all. Like he's the reason the childhood mortality rate is so high at this point.
Yeah. Oh, and when Michael and John show up, he doesn't even remember them.
Yeah.
They're like, "Hello, Peter," and Peter's like, "Hello." He'd quite forgotten them.
Mhm. Yeah. Terrifying. And they also decided to build a house around Wendy because they don't want to move her, which I thought was interesting.
That whole part is super weird to me. It's
Yeah.
like these kids. It's like they're playing pretend,
Mhm.
for with the doctor, with one of them pretending to be a doctor, and then they're pretending all this stuff at the house.
See, part of this to me feels like they're still in a dreamscape.
Yeah, it really does feel that way.
Because, like, apparently they built this house just on a whim for funsies. And it's like, I don't think a bunch of 10-year-olds could build a house and it actually stay standing up.
Right. Big enough for don't they all go into it at one point? Like
Yeah.
Roseanne? I'm like, how do they build a house that big
In
that
minutes.
fast? Yeah.
Yeah. I,
Crazy.
I don't know. I can't tell if this is real or not. And I feel like that's what I'm supposed to do, but, like, I guess we'll find out at the end. Um, so they ask Wendy to sing in her sleep the kind of house she wants. Which I love that Wendy's just kind of like fake staying asleep right now.
Right.
She's like, let them suffer for a bit longer.
Hmm.
And then she like tells them what kind of house she wants. And then when she wakes up and sees the house, the Lost Boys say that they want Wendy to be their mother. And I was like, okay, weird. And then the fairies apparently had to then like they all go to bed. Peter stays outside, and then it says that the fairies had to climb over Peter on the way home from their orgy.
I know. I know.
Okay,
It's something else.
the I thought it was funny when I was reading that part because I had to think about that comment on your book,
I know.
and I'm like,
And
that's
that
in the original fiction.
this part is why I put it in my book
Mhm.
because I was like, hey, and
It's
I don't go into a huge amount of detail,
Mhm.
you know. Uh, but yeah, it's randomly thrown into this
Mhm.
children's book.
Yeah. It's like, you know how right now they do that a lot in children's movies where there's jokes that like you understand when you grow
Right.
up. But
And
it's
they're
like
meant for
this
the
one's
parents.
yeah, this one's not meant for the parent.
No.
This one's just like fully out there. And you know a child if they read that would turn to their parent and be like, "Mom, what's an orgy?" And you'd be like, "Oh, okay. Um let's have this conversation when you are 25, thank you."
Yeah, and they're obviously drunk. It says some unsteady fairies had to climb over. You know, just like
Well, they're
These
too
little
drunk to
tiny,
fly.
these little tiny drunk fairies climbing over him.
Oh my goodness. See, I honestly would rather read about Neverland fairies than anything else. Because apparently they know how to have a good time. Like,
Yep.
these lost boys are building houses and the fairies are getting drunk and having orgies.
Oh man.
So then we are on to chapter 7, The Home Underground. Uh Peter is measuring them to fit in the trees, but apparently they have to be made to fit the tree, not the other way around.
This is probably the creepiest part of the book for me.
Yeah, because it's like goes on to say that like you can always add more layers, but then it gets more difficult.
Yeah. If you're and it says yeah, if you're bumpy in awkward places or the only available tree is an odd shape, Peter does some things to you, and after that you fit. And then later it says John had to be altered a little to go into his tree. Once you fit, great care must be taken to go on fitting.
Yeah. Like, what do we think he took from John?
I don't know. That's the horrifying part.
Like his ankle, maybe?
Like, I have no idea. This is just Peter does some things to you and then you fit. Like, what is he cuts off parts of you? Like, what is going on?
Like, I'm trying to think about like what sticks out the most, and like maybe it's like part of your shoulder.
Maybe. I
Like,
mean, it seems like they're all still like they have their limbs, right?
yeah,
So,
it would have to be like part of your skin, right? Or like your nose if it's like you have like a nose that sticks out a little bit
yeah,
more.
I don't know. And, it doesn't go into detail, which is probably a good thing, but
Yeah, but it's terrifying to think about because it's like,
um,
what could you lose of your body that you're still like a functional person after, and that no
right,
one makes comments about? Not
right.
much.
Yeah, and it doesn't mention any of them having like, missing parts, but
Scary.
yeah.
Like this feels like
So,
in the like Grimm's Brothers Cinderella,
uh-huh.
where they cut off the back of their heel,
Yep. And
fit the
they're and
shoes.
yeah, to fit in the shoes, yep.
That's what this feels like for me.
Definitely has that vibe.
Don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Yeah. Oh, and it talks a little bit later about how when they're eating, like Peter doesn't eat a lot, he doesn't eat very often. And so sometimes you never know whether you're going to have a pretend meal or like a real meal. And it said, if you can prove to him that you're getting too thin for your tree, he'll let you eat.
Yeah. Scary. Like he's starving these children.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate it. I hate it so much. But like my other thing too is like you could always be smaller. I feel like the problem would be when you're bigger, but he wants you to be perfect.
Right. Such a control freak thing,
Yeah. It's very narcissistic behavior. Like it's just I don't like it.
Nope.
So Wendy realizes that John and Michael don't really remember their parents anymore.
Hmm.
And then she started making exams for them to make John and Michael remember their parents. But then it turns out that she's starting to forget them as well. Like she doesn't remember the answer to some of her questions.
Yeah.
And then it says that Wendy did not let the boys eat the poison cake. So that's good. And then another thing interesting happens where the author is like, yeah, they went on a ton of adventures, but let me flip a coin to figure out which one you're going to learn about. I was like, what?
Yeah. So weird. Definitely breaking the, I don't know, is this breaking the fourth wall? I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah, something like that. The author directly addressing us saying, hey, I don't have time to tell you all of these things.
Hmm.
So let's see what we're going to talk about.
I know. When that came up, I was like, ooh, I don't like that. So then the author decides he's going to tell us about the lagoon. So then we are on to chapter 7, The Mermaid's Lagoon. So apparently the mermaids are not on friendly terms with anyone, which I stand the mermaids for this because I feel like in most books, like everyone harasses mermaids for no reason. Like, they're just sitting there vibing, chilling. The only person apparently the mermaids will have a conversation with is Peter, which is weird. Don't like that at all.
Yeah. I don't know what that's all about, but
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, the lagoon, like, they're all like just sitting on this rock, waiting for their food to digest. Wendy's like, you gotta wait 30 minutes, which is I don't even know if that's been proven, to be honest.
I don't think so. I think I looked that up last summer, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's necessarily true. I mean, I think you can get cramps maybe after eating, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, if you go in swimming, but I don't know.
I don't think it actually really matters.
I don't think so.
So they're sitting on this rock, everyone's asleep, vibing for 30 minutes, and then the lagoon grows super dark. Wendy's trying, like, doesn't want to wake anybody up, but like luckily Peter wakes up and he's like, oh, everybody up, get in the water. So they all get in the water, and the pirates are like two pirates, Smee and somebody else that I forgot to write down, um like row out there with Tiger Lily in their boat. So apparently their plan is to put Tiger Lily on this rock that gets covered with water when the tides go up.
Yeah. Why?
Why? I don't know. Because they're pirates, I guess.
Oh, here it says they caught her boarding the pirate ship with a knife in her mouth.
Yeah. Which, like, they could have just thrown her over the side.
Right. They just wanted to kill her slowly, I guess.
I guess.
In a terrifying way.
Yeah. I don't know why this is the decision to make, but whatever. So Peter pretends to be Hook and tells them to set Tiger Lily free. And I feel like I remember this from the Disney movie.
Yes. Yeah, he imitates his voice.
Yeah.
Which is also a very like classic Faye thing to do, being able to mimic voices.
Yeah. I'm so like the more I read this, the more I am excited to read yours. So then somehow it gets brought up that the pirates don't have a mother, which is just weird. Like I remember seeing this fan theory that the pirates are the lost boys that grew up.
Ooh,
Yeah.
interesting.
I saw that like a really long time ago, and I
Huh.
don't remember much else of it. But I'm like really into that idea because it's like there's no other reason that these pirates would not understand what a mother is.
Yeah.
Unless this is a dreamscape still of Wendy's.
Could be. It does give some background for the pirates, like the things they used to do and be before a little bit. Like one
Yeah.
of them says he worked in a school and now he kills like in an elegant sort of way or something like
Yeah.
that. I'm like, whew. So I don't know. Maybe they grew up and then like came back
Mm-hmm.
and became they couldn't adjust properly to life in the world.
Yeah. All I think is otherwise like Neverland forces everyone to forget they had parents.
Well, that's another possibility, yeah.
Yeah. So Peter pretends to be a spirit, copying Hook's voice again and like taunting them. And then Hook's like asking 20 questions to figure out who the next voice is, and then he's like, "It's me, Peter Pan." So then everyone starts fighting and stabbing each other. Because I guess, like, also the thing is that there's only one small rowboat. Everybody else is in the water.
Yeah, that's strange.
And to me, it sounded like they were swimming, not just standing in the water.
Right.
So I don't know how this fight scene works. I can't imagine that it's easy to swing swords while still swimming in water.
Yeah, I don't know. And people are like going under the water and then coming up out of the water, and it's like trying to keep track of everything is a bit of a pain in this scene.
Yeah. And then Peter and Hook end up on the rock, and somehow Hook ends up injuring him. And then Peter and Wendy are on the rock, and they're about to drown. basically, because the tide is rising, and Peter hooks Wendy to a kite to save her, which is the only time he's ever saved anyone,
Mm-hmm.
really. Um, and then he says, "To die will be an awfully big adventure."
And I feel like that's one of the most often quoted lines
Hmm.
of the book. Like I've seen this in a number of places. But yeah, I mean it is kind of a cool sentence.
Hmm.
But it's like again though, it's like he doesn't take death seriously,
Yeah.
you know. He really doesn't. And everything to him is like a kind of play,
Hmm.
you know. I mean, it sounds brave.
It sounds
And he
brave.
is he is doing something, probably the only self-sacrificial thing that he's done in his life.
Yeah. But it's like, it didn't seem like it took him any effort to fly. So I'm like, why are you so wore out? Like, it literally said he could fly while he's asleep.
I know.
I don't know.
That's a plot hole.
Plot
Plot
hole.
hole.
So then we are on to chapter 9, I believe. I struggle with Roman numerals. So I think this is
Yes.
9.
9. Yes.
So this chapter is called The Never Bird. So I only have 2 notes for this chapter because it's a lot of Peter and the Never Bird fighting with each other that I didn't write down.
Yeah.
But
I
basically,
honestly, I did not read this one carefully. Like I just kind of was like skim reading.
yeah, that's fair.
I did
Because
not read
honestly,
it.
it's just like them fighting with each other and they don't understand each other's language.
Yeah.
But at the end of it, the Neverbird puts Peter in her nest to save him, and then Peter put her eggs in his hat so that they still float. And then apparently after this, everyone decided, every Neverbird ever then decided all their nests needed to be shaped like Peter's hat. And I was like, okay, cool. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So then we are on to chapter 10, The Happy Home. This, again, we're going to have some issues with.
Yep. Definitely. Definitely.
So the indigenous people of Neverland start calling Peter the Great White Father. And I hate this.
I know. I cringed a
Hmm.
lot. A
Like,
lot.
you know, reading classic literature primarily on this podcast, I encounter a lot of racism in these novels.
Right.
This is like one of those moments where I have to be like, you had to have known you were being racist, right?
I know. Because what? Yeah. I mean,
Like, this is one of those that is like the most outwardly obvious that I feel like in the time period you had to have known.
yeah. And I feel like the author probably was,
Yeah.
racist. I mean, not in the way that some people might have been back then, like just not really knowing or learning any better, but
Hmm.
like outright,
Yeah.
this is how he thought, unfortunately.
I mean, I have to think so because honestly, the amount of comments he makes about these people, like Tiger Lily and the rest of like her
Yeah.
tribe,
The way they're
are,
portrayed.
yeah, I'm like, you have to be pretty racist.
And I mean, the way he portrays her is better in a way and almost worse in a way.
Yeah.
She's idealized as this sort of like, he keeps talking about how beautiful she is and how
Hmm.
everybody wants her. She
Hmm.
staves off the marriage with a hatchet. He
Hmm.
said at one point, and like in some ways, I guess you could say, oh well, she's a strong female character,
Hmm.
but in another way, it's like this whole idea of like the native princess thing. It's another stereotype in a way.
I know.
So,
It feels like what they did with like the Pocahontas mythos,
right.
where they like
Right.
converted her to Christianity and like basically kidnapped her. Like
Yeah.
that, this is what I'm feeling we're erring on the side of, and it's making me very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But yeah, this whole situation I do not like at all. But we will move right on for that because I think you all know where we stand. Uh, so everyone starts roasting Toodles during tea. for some reason. And then like Wendy's asks what Peter's feelings are for her, and he says they're that of a devoted son. And she's like, cool.
And she goes and sits by herself and pouts.
Yeah. And apparently he said something about like Tiger Lily also asking him this.
Right.
And
He
then like,
says he's confused, and there is something she wants to be, but she says it is not my mother. And Wendy's like, nope, it
yeah.
is not.
Yeah. And she's like, I'm not going to explain that to you. I just feel bad. Like, why is Peter Pan apparently the only eligible bachelor on this island? It sounds terrible.
And he is not a great person.
No, he's terrible. He's a terrible person.
They just like him because he's got the power, I guess. I don't know.
I guess.
It's a power thing, maybe. He's the cool one, the cool bad boy,
Apparently.
right?
Apparently. Then we are on to chapter 11, Wendy's story. Everyone interrupts Wendy's story the entire time. Immediately. But she's trying to tell the story of her family, and then like of their coming here. And then Wendy then moves on to talking about the future where there are adults and back in London. And this is apparently the part that Peter hates because he hates the idea of them growing up or leaving him at all. So Peter says he thought his mother. So basically, Wendy had gone into like this talk about how she thinks her mother leaves the window open for her, so that they could all go back whenever they want to. And Peter's like, yeah, I thought that. And then I went back and there was a new baby sleeping in my bed. And I was
this
like,
is like, yeah, this is pretty dark.
yeah.
But you get some vulnerability from him, and maybe a
Mm-hmm.
slight explanation as to why he is the way he is, because
Mm-hmm.
he did obviously leave, but then it's not like he hated growing up so much that he never went back. Like, he went back
Yeah.
to his family, and the window was barred. His mother had forgotten about him, and she had another kid. And he's like, he still hurts about it, apparently.
Yeah. I felt kind of bad. I was like, ooh.
See, the bad boy with the tragic
I
backstory.
know. It's all right there.
So,
And then hearing this, the Darling kids were like, okay, we need to go back home
yeah.
right now. Which, like, could you expect any other reaction, to be honest?
Yeah. Of course they're going to freak out.
Yeah. So Wendy wants Peter to come back with them. So the way she does this is the way every child does, where they're like, oh, all of you should come back. Because she really wants just Peter to come back. And Peter's like, yeah, if you guys really want to leave, you can leave, but I'm not leaving. And he like dipped to go, quote, make the arrangements. But then like I think he like talked Tiger Lily and her people into fighting the pirates right outside their door for some reason. So like there's this battle going on, so no one can leave.
Yeah.
Which I am suspicious. I have a feeling they're gonna have to run from Peter soon.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what's going on in the next few chapters. But that's all we have time for today. How are you feeling so far?
Oh, it's this. Yeah, it's just, it gets darker, right? And then it has these moments of random, like, wackiness, and it's
Mhm.
almost like fun, so in a way, it's going up and down through the narrative, as far as like, here's a dark moment, here's a lighter moment, when they're building this cute little house,
Mhm.
and then here's a battle, and then, oh, here we get a little bit of Peter's backstory that we didn't have before.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's a very strange story, but the rhythm of it is not bad as far as the pacing goes.
Mhm.
I did get bogged down, with the Neverbird bit, and with the
Yeah.
description of all of those characters, like Peter's group and the
Yeah.
pirate group, one right after the other. It's like, you know, but otherwise, the pacing flows pretty well. It just kind of it pulls you on, from one bit to the
Mhm.
next. So yeah.
I'm excited to see how this book finishes up next week. Um, but yeah, where can all the people of the internet find you and your stuff?
So I am primarily on Twitter and TikTok. I'm not great at Instagram, but I am there as well. So on Twitter, I'm at Rebecca F. Kenney 1. And on TikTok, I'm just Rebecca F. Kenney. And then on Instagram, Rebecca F. Kenney Books. I really should standardize all of that. But that's what it is for now. Um, yeah. And then I have a link tree in my Twitter bio that'll take you to, you know, books, Spotify playlists, Pinterest, things like that.
Yeah,
Interesting stuff.
and it'll be out. I'll put it all in the description. So
Yay.
yeah, but we will catch you all next week. Bye. Thank you all so much for listening to this episode of the Barely Bookish podcast. If you want even more content, please consider joining the Patreon for as low as $1 a month. You get access to bonus episodes, exclusive content, all that good fun stuff. And also you get to join the Discord, which is pretty neat and pretty fun. This Friday, a new episode will be out. It'll be Kindred, the graphic novel with Candace, so please be sure to join the Patreon and check that out because it's going to be very good. And I have a lot of thoughts, so make sure to join on in and hear my thoughts and hear Candace's thoughts. There also will be a exclusive a Peter Pan retelling with Rebecca F. Kennedy very soon on Patreon as well, so keep an eye out for that. More details coming soon. If you want to find me, I'm at Barely Bookish on literally everything. I'm everywhere. I'm even on Reddit now, which is something. It's definitely something. But I can be found wherever, and you can see my face over on Twitch. So make sure to check me out in more places. But thank you all so much for listening. Next week we will be finishing up Peter Pan. So I'll see you all then. Our logo is designed by my little sibling Sarah. Our theme song is by Raphael Crux. And I'll catch you guys later. Bye!